Um, we saw kind of Emily's usage kind of evolve during that first half of the season, and her role also when you guys were using her at the
Recording in
three a little bit.
progress.
Yeah.
How do you kind of see that moving forward? I don't know if you kind of got kind of comfortable with where she was, or kind of how do you see as you move forward through the second half of the season her role continuing to evolve?
I don't have a great answer only because we're trying to get Emily minutes at the three and the four. She's more of a four who's kind of honestly giving herself to the team and playing some 3 minutes. But she's best at the four in terms of a floor spacer, a ball mover. She does a really good job of offensive rebounding. Um, but we have a lot of post players too, so it's been a bit of a challenge. But one thing I do know is, Emily has a right mindset. She's trying to give herself to the team, and we're just trying to do the best we can with that. But I don't have a perfect answer for you, to be perfectly blunt. Yep.
Hey Sydney, welcome back.
Thank you. Same.
What's kind of the mindset here going into the second half, and specifically, 5 game homestand? How important is this stretch to kind of set the tone the rest of the way?
Yeah, I mean, how many cliches can I give you? One game at a time. Take it for what's in front of us. All that kind of stuff. We haven't really gotten too far. Um, you know, where we can say, hey, we have these big lofty goals. Kareem asked me earlier about playoffs and things like that. It's just hard to kind of latch onto that when we have real things that we have to improve on. We took a step back, just in terms of turnovers. Our 3-point shooting hasn't been great. Defensively, it was probably our poorest game before the break. So there's a number of things that we're just trying to, honestly, this is a big game for us just to try to get better in areas that we weren't. And I think when we play hard and embrace getting better, game out, there's the cliche, but that's just kind of what it is. We're still kind of forming who we are. I don't know how else to say it. New York, Minnesota, Phoenix, they're in a different spot than we are. And so for us for right now, it's bringing these players along and continuing to gel and now react, if I could say more directly in terms of the second half, is react to how we're going to be scouted. I think people are just, pouring deeper into, our tendencies and do we have a counter? We've got to have a few things in our back pocket and trying to embrace having our young players embrace we've got to get to the second and third thing in their bag, because maybe that first thing, Sonia's a dead-eye shooter. Okay, now they're trying to take that away. Okay, what's next? And she has some things, and we're working on them. But we've got to see if we can apply that in the second half.
And just for you, seeing Slim get that All Star nod, had gone on break before we really talked to you about it, but what was your kind of reaction to seeing that pay off, something she'd been working toward?
Yeah, just a career moment for her. I was just elated, to be honest. I mean, she's worked really, really hard to be a very good pro. She's learned a lot from a number of people that she's shared with me, and just played a lot of games. And she's come back from injuries, and it's just amazing, the journey that she's been on. So to get acknowledged in that way, to join her two teammates, to be on that stage and be celebrated for the pro that she's become. She's really become a really, really good player at this level. So super cool for her. And just, while I was on my couch, just, smiling as all three of them were launching 4-point shots.
Last one for me. You kind of alluded to before the break that you were going to need to be mindful of the All Stars minutes. Obviously, I know you're not going to give us details there, but how much does that kind of impact what you're trying to do tonight?
Yeah, I think it'll probably be a broader look, 5 games this month and then 14 and 29 days in August. So I think it's a bigger picture that we'll have to be mindful of, and we're already having conversations and trying to strategize for that, as all the other teams are in the league. But we're especially, I don't want to say vulnerable, but we've got, Sony's playing 33, Slim 32, Kiki and Kira as much as possible. So it's going to start adding up quickly.
Sydney, I want to ask you a couple questions about Steph. Just before the break, we didn't ask her at the time, but she moved into the top 50 in WNBA history in terms of rebounds.
Nice.
Having a player that's just been such a key figure in this league for a while and having that type of impact. I know you've spoken to what she means to you and to this team, but what does she mean to the locker room, and how she is still able to have an impact when there are other players that are having bigger roles in this team?
We'd be here for a while. We'd be here for a while. She's indispensable. She's just flat out indispensable. Individually, she hasn't shot that great. There's probably a few more shots she'd love to make. She's just indispensable. I don't know what to tell you. Like, just she knows every scheme, offensively, defensively. She's selfless. She's a professional. She does still offer the threat of spacing the floor. Defensively, at times, she's been really excellent in the low post. But really, just like as we're trying to develop a lot of other players, her willingness to be a team player and allow us to function offensively and defensively. I mean, it's just screaming out at you how valuable she is. I'm not sure why people miss it. They do. I understand she's not shooting well. She knows that as well. But it's just like, if you know basketball, she's absolutely indispensable. And I'm just grateful to have her, with our team.
And legacy is such a weird thing to kind of ask about, but being such a big Steph Dolson fan like you are, what is her legacy in terms of her being a WNBA player, of what she brought to this game?
Yeah, well, she's a modern big, a skilled big. She's developed her game to be able to stretch the floor. 3-point shooting is not going away. We're even thinking about 4-point shots. So just her ability to do that is really just added a whole nother feature to her game, like some other bigs in our league. And she's a consummate pro. She's a selfless player in a pro game that rewards scoring and individual accolades, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, this is a team game, and she's about winning. I think her legacy is being an exceptional pro and playing the game on both ends of the court in order to help her team win. And I don't think that that's celebrated enough, whether it's Steph Dolson or any other player like that, regardless of their individual stats. So you can see I'm pretty worked up about it because I know what winning looks like, and every winning team has a player, if not multiple ones like her, like just point blank period. And so, like I said, I'm filibustering, right? It's just, it is what it is. She's that good, and she's been that beneficial and productive for her teams, and we're seeing that even if her individual stats aren't the same as some years in the past.
Sydney, just with the two rookies getting to go through the whole experience of All-Star Weekend and being around so many great players and so forth, what do you think that can do for them? And have you talked to the two of them since?
Yeah,
just about what they took from it, I guess.
Being able to absorb pro habits. I mean, the best of the best, the elites. Sabrina, put on a show with 3-point contest, and Sonia knows how good of a shooter she is, like that Sonia is, and then you look and there's like a whole nother level there with Sabrina, and that's respecting Sonia, but that's calling it what it is. So just seeing pro habits, how they approach the game, how competitive they are, how they're on all the time. It's just a wonderful display for our league to have that moment, but for them to be that close, and they've earned that. They're all stars themselves. Like they've brought their game day in and day out to get that honor. But I think there's like another couple of jumps that they're looking to take, and I think they were rubbing elbows with some of those players that they aspire to be like, to outperform, to. And so I think just the habits, the focus, the intensity, the onness every single time was very beneficial for them to see. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.